Hey everyone, welcome back to Fast Charging with BnB. I am Bear, and that is
I'm Brian.
yes. And we are back for our next episode of which company is going to be doomed. And today we are focusing on Vinfast, and we're going to give you our opinion on whether they're going to make it or not, and get into a little bit of their details of what they've got going on. So, Brian, you want to take the lead there?
Sure. So let's talk first about the engineering. Have you seen one in person?
Nope, sure haven't. Have you?
I have. I saw one at the either Fully Charged or the LA Auto Show. I think it was at Fully Charged they had one. And they're nice. They look every bit like you would expect from a new car. They're loaded with technology. I think the styling is good inside and out. In terms of the engineering, it's tough to go into too much detail because nobody's gotten to take one apart. I know Kyle from Out of Spec Motoring has gotten to drive one, and he was very much not impressed with how it rode and drove, and the range appeared to be inadequate. So Vinfast is not exactly an upstart. If you go to the Wikipedia page here, it's a Vietnamese-founded, Singaporean-based private automotive company established in 2017, and it's part of Vingroup, which is the largest private company in Vietnam, and it's a huge company. So they're already making cars. They're just not
In Vietnam, correct?
in Vietnam, and they appear competent, capable, and reasonably good. They are not necessarily up to the U.S. Safety and other regulations, but they know how to build an assembly line, and they seem competent.
Do you know how many cars that they have produced and sold?
I don't.
And I mean worldwide.
Yeah, well, I think we could just focus on Vietnam for that. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, we're probably in the thousands, right?
All I'm finding is headlines about when they'll start production. So I don't know. It's certainly not in the millions. It's definitely not that.
Okay. All right.
But so with this limited information on engineering, I suppose I would give them a 5.
You see, and I think 5 is a good middle of the road, not knowing too much about them. But I guess we'll just have to stick with a 5, just because of lack of knowledge of them. They've got technology in there, whether it works good or not, and whether the cars work well or not, we don't know. We've heard very limited amount of reviews. When do they plan on being here in the United States?
We will, I think, get to that in a little bit.
Oh, super. I can't wait.
So in terms of demand, I'm going to say strong. I'm going to say they have a good position because they're making crossovers and SUVs. Crossovers and sedans, which are big market segments. If the price is right, I think the market will be very strong. What do you think on the demand front?
I think they're going to have a demand problem because looking at they have a lease option, correct, for their batteries, and I think that's going to just scare people off right away without people realizing that they also can just buy the battery. And once somebody gets in the door and is actually looking at them, and somebody's telling them, "Well, you don't have to lease it; you can go ahead and buy it." Then what happens is the price of the vehicle goes up some $10,000 or $20,000.
Yes.
So
what's worse is apparently it won't be available to purchase the battery out of the gate. And I think the problem there is they're concerned that the batteries might not have the longevity that they need, so that'll impact demand. What are you thinking on a scale of 1 to 10 for demand?
I think because they've got that lease option, it's going to scare people away, and I think their demand is going to come down to a 3. Their range is low. and it's the range that they have listed is WLTP, which means it's even less than what it actually says. I mean, you got the VF9 7-passenger starting at $83,000, and that's probably, these numbers are not with purchasing the battery. That's with leasing the battery. So
that's shocking. You convinced me. I was going to say 5 until we talked about the leasing, and then I was going to say 4, but you convinced me. I'm going to join you at 3. Now we're going to talk about cost control. So the next one here is Vinfast aims to be profitable within 3 years, but that's not great. And that was less than a year. That was about 6 months ago they said that. And if Vinfast is already selling cars and they're still losing money and they're trying to IPO to raise more money, that does not bode well for their cost controls.
I don't think 3 years is a awful timeline to be profitable. I know of another company that took 10 years to become profitable, and now they're just a cash machine. I don't remember the name, but I think it starts with a T. So
yeah.
I don't.
Tata.
Yeah, Tata. Tatas are always profitable, and especially when they're going up. I love the picture of the VF8 on here in the green. It's a very nice looking vehicle, but I think they're going to shoot themselves in the foot with this idea of leasing. I don't know if businesses realize that consumers do not like subscribing to 1,000 different things, and that's essentially what this is.
It's getting very exhausting.
It's out there everywhere. Everything is a subscription. Keeping track of them is annoying at best and burdensome at worst. Maybe, I don't know. But I don't want to do something like that. I would not buy into this IPO only because of the leasing option. I think that's going to scare so many people away. Yeah, and remember, we're talking about leasing the battery, not the car.
Right.
You pay for the car.
I would not be willing to do that. So for cost controls, this is not talking about the budget. This is talking about whether or not they can build it at a profit generally. If they're aiming to be profitable within 3 years, I think based on how early it is, they don't know if that's a realistic goal. So I would be inclined to give them just a 5. Middle of the road, not good, but not by any means the worst we've seen.
Which category is this?
This is cost control.
Cost controls. Okay. I don't have enough information. But I don't think the 3 years is that bad. So
I don't think it's realistic though.
Yeah, but I don't know how much money they have on hand.
Oh, either. That's the next category. We'll get to that.
Okay.
So cost control, what are you giving them?
Well, I'm going to have to stay middle of the road on a 5.
All right. Boy, we are matching across the board here. So the next tab you will see, Vinfast founder has stopped putting his own money into the company. He has no plans yet to further personally invest in it. And they were hoping to do an IPO last year, but the market did not perform as well as the environment was not ideal for an IPO. He has a net worth himself of about $4 billion. And that's tough. That's tough. Vinfast owners and lenders have already invested about $7.5 billion to fund its operating expenses and capital expenditures.
And they are losing money, $1.3 billion in 2021 and $1.5 billion in the first 3 quarters of 2022. So yeah, they are bleeding money also. So maybe their cost controls, maybe 5 is a little bit high.
I would disagree. They're not selling the cars that they're putting all the money into yet.
We don't quite know how many cars that they've sold, do we?
Well, we know they have sold no EVs.
Okay. Oh, they have sold. I thought they sold some in Vietnam. I thought they were.
No. Those were gas cars.
Ah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that's
are they not making money on these gas cars?
Well, I assume they are, but I assume their production is small enough that it is eclipsed by the expenditures to get the EVs going.
Okay. All right. When are we going to get up to the roadmap one? Because I got my answer already on that.
Okay, so cash on hand, I'm giving him like I think 1 or 2.
I'm going to give him a 2. Just it's a pity. It's a pity number. They're really a 1, but I'm giving him 2 just at a.
I'm giving them not a 1, but a 2 because if it comes down to the wire, I do believe the owner will put in more cash rather than watch it evaporate out from under him.
And they can always still do an IPO, even if the market's bad.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, and then the next tab is VinFast Auto seeks U.S. IPO. This is from last December, but they did postpone it. And I don't need to really go into that article.
Nah.
The next one is the roadmap. VinFast finally breaks down U.S. pricing to include details on its mandatory battery subscription. And if you scroll down here, the end of the first paragraph, it says a 2-tiered battery subscription that will be mandatory through 2023 at least. So the earliest they would be willing to sell you a car with a battery is apparently 2024.
Okay, so there's a lot of numbers on here. And I'm just trying to take that all in. Battery 1, 60,500 for a VF9. Is that including the car or not including the car?
Where's that?
On Electrek, VinFast finally breaks down the U.S. blah, blah, blah. There is a chart.
Oh, there it is. I had almost gotten to it. Battery 1 and battery 2. Battery IC. I assume that includes the battery price. But there's... But
that does not include the car because the VF9 started at $80,000.
Oh my God. $35 a month for 310 miles and 11 cents for every mile thereafter.
What?
Oh boy. That is, or $110 a month and $160 a month. And an annual battery fee, $420 minimum, up to $2,000 for an annual battery fee. Come on, man. That's, and okay. I assume
that's just the annual battery fee. But if the monthly battery fee, if you drive that, do the math because I'm not doing it.
Well, that's for that's for people who don't drive much.
But so you get one of these plans, or you get all of these plans?
I think you get only one plan. I think the annual battery fixed fee is where the best deal is. But over the course of 10 years, you're paying $13 to $20,000 for your battery. No one's going to do that.
That's insane.
That's bonkers.
Yeah, and I've got a question how this works because I'm a little confused. So I go into VinFast, I want to buy a car, and they have finance companies, I would assume, that are going to finance me. And let's say it's Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo finances the car, but the lease has to go through VinFast, which, by the way, if you don't pay this 1 month, you're going to be driving your car, and what happens? It shuts down. It's kind of like a repo. So it's like having a house and having a second mortgage on it. It's not the same on the payment, but you have to fulfill an obligation to both. And when you sell the house, you have to pay off that mortgage, that second mortgage. How would this work? Because can you cease like selling? I couldn't sell this car on Craigslist because I have a lease attached to the battery, and I would have to get that transferred over. That would never work.
It sounds terrible.
Complicated. Very complicated.
Yeah, I don't think this was well thought out. I get it. Everybody wants to get in on the subscription racket, but I think this is the wrong part of the roadmap. And the second part of the roadmap here, yes.
No, that's my number for the roadmap.
Oh, okay. The other part is Vietnam EV maker VinFast gets permit to start construction on its U.S. factory. $4 billion. Where are you going to get the money? So wow. You're saying 1 on the roadmap. I'm going to be generous and say 2 on the roadmap. But they've got some headwinds here. This is going to be tough. Without a bang-up IPO, I do not see them surviving. And it's a shame. They're lovely cars. They appear reasonably good. But it's an impossible business to get into, and I'm not sure that they're doing it right.
Yeah. If NIO ever decides to come to the U.S. with their battery swaps, that's also going to be a problem. And this is another, it's just too different. Us Americans don't like change like this.
No.
And we're having a hard enough time going from gas to electric because people don't like change.
Yeah. So I'm adding up the scores here. And we've got 33. They're 1 point below Lucid. I mean, I stand by it.
Yeah.
I mean, at least Lucid is already building cars.
They are. They just can't find the trucks to deliver them, which is not it.
I'm sure that is absolutely the reason that they're struggling. Is because they can't find car haulers. Yeah, that's tough. All right. So on the doom scale, where are you putting Vinfast? I mean, we already ranked it lower than Lucid. I'm going to say pretty doomed.
I'm going to say pretty doomed also. I don't think that they, with their current business model, that they are going to be able to survive in the United States. Maybe in other countries that would be more open to what they have, but I don't think what they've got going on will work here at all.
Yeah, and if you're going to bump the price up by 10, 20,000, probably 20,000 to cover the battery, it's no longer in the price range.
No, that's exactly right. And I think it's kind of a bait and switch, because when you have cars that you say start off at, what I don't know what they're saying they start off with. I know that the VF8 is supposed to start at 49,000. So I'd assume the 6 and the 7 would be cheaper. But it almost just seems like getting people in the door. It's a bait and switch, and they find out they have to lease a battery. If I didn't know that and I walked in and that's what I was told, I'd be like, not for me. I'd get up and walk.
Not for me. So quick thanks to our patrons who, in my case, get early access, bonus content, all kinds of good stuff. Keep the channel running, quite literally. And do you wish to say anything?
I wish to say thank you to my Patreons. I appreciate them. I appreciate all the viewers. My Patreons help me keep me from eating dirt, because if I didn't have the little contributions that I have, I would not be eating ramen. I would be eating dirt. So I appreciate that. So thank you, guys.
Very cool. So we will be back tomorrow at the same time with the next installation on this. Should we tell them what it is? It is going to be Nikola. Uh-oh. Dun, dun, dun. Are they doomed or not? JJ will tune in to scream at us, so we'll find out about that.
He will.
But we welcome him. Harassment and all.
Yes. We
Bear, thank you for your time. Everyone. I will see you tomorrow.
And we will welcome you back tomorrow also, Brian. So thank you, everyone. We will see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.